Hi, I'm Rick.
Hi, I'm Oscar.
Oscar, what have you prepared for today?
I've prepared something different. You know, I'm a developer, I'm an architect, do stuff with Azure, but today I want to talk about testing.
Oh, a very important part of software development.
Yeah, which I am not really good at, but what I am good at is automating things. And what I found, and you probably know it, we are using in some projects, we're using the library called Playwright.
Yeah.
You know Selenium, right?
Yeah, true.
This is, well, let's say newer. Selenium is also still working, but this is an alternative, and we started using it, and we're really happy about it.
Does it have pros compared to Selenium?
Well,
big differences?
It's kind of built recently, so they have less history, let's say that. So everything we need to test a proper SPA, to test uploads, downloads, to work with the browsers that are quite relevant at the moment, and not all the other baggage, are in there. So it supported the browsers we want, WebKit, Firefox, Chromium. We have, I think what I like the most is that it's all async. It can be run in .NET, but also in TypeScript if you want.
Okay.
There are some multiple stacks, but it's all async await. And so you can do, like, select this await, and all the timing and the timeout is already there, with some sane defaults, I would say. I've seen so many test scripts running with timeouts, because sometimes it's slow. Let's add another timeout, and it feels like guessing, and this feels a little bit solid to actually implement. And as a developer, it kind of clicked, and the API looks nice, so I want to go through it.
Cool.
First up, website, why Playwright? So you already asked why Playwright. You go to playwright.dev, you can read all about it. Also, what are the most powerful things in there. The documentation is here. It has all kinds of getting started. API definitions are here. You have a nice selector, like you want to do it in Python, Java, Node.js, or .NET. And all your examples will flip. It's really nice modern documentation, all here.
Cool. And it's based on GitHub, if I'm not mistaken, or at least
it's all open, so we can do whatever with it. But there, if you look at the API, it's so well described, and everything's like, oh, I want this, I need this. It's there. It's just there. It's just a matter of scrolling through the things, like, oh, that's exactly what I'm looking for. So I want to, like I said, I'm not a tester. I didn't go around the script, but I just want to get the hello world of testing.
Yeah.
So some of the examples start with, well, this is a command line application, and you can do this and set this and start a browser and start doing some stuff here. But in real life, you're running this in a unit test framework, right? The unit test framework for Playwright preferred is NUnit.
Okay.
Has something to do about also compared to XUnit, for instance, because that is the default for me.
Yeah, for me too.
But about organizing the order of tests, how many run at the same time. Because what you want, if you're automating a test and you're running it in the background, you want some cores left also to actually do the browser rendering.
Yes.
Because part of the problem sometimes is that the browser is taking so much CPU, or the test is taking so much CPU, that in the end you want to solve it with those timeouts that are actually blocking, so nah.
Yeah. So you want to have a max level of
so you want to say, what they say is like, well, you have 4 cores, make 2 cores parallel for test. So you run 2 for test at the same time, if they can run together, of course. And the other CPU can be used to actually execute them. Makes sense to me. So NUnit is therefore well described on the side. There are some starters. So let's start to create a new app. Okay. So NUnit is there. NUnit test project. Netcore started for C#. We can pick some others, but let's do what we're comfortable in it. Test project 1. I'm always fine.
Great name.
Great name. Let's go for .NET 6. I might have 7 installed, but let's not do that with this. So first of all, then you get this project. It's just NUnit. It pulls in your dependencies. We all know that. What I kind of in a habit doing is just run this first one before you add all the stuff in it. It's not doing anything anymore. So let's start with the first nice green test. Is the demo working? Because it needs to compile, pull in some packages. Before you know it, you're trying to fight another fire. This one's green, so fine, out of the box. So what we do need is some dependencies. It's not too much. Well, .NET Core project, so double click on the references. For me, it's much nicer experience than, especially while demoing, than going through the NuGet package. We throw in 2 packages, format a bit. So we have Microsoft.Playwright, because it is a Microsoft library these days, and Playwright.NUnit. And that second package is actually fit for this NUnit solution, will give you some extra advantages.
Does it have other implementations or other test frameworks as well? So like XUnit or...
If you look at one, we need to go into the manage them, but there are a lot of different packages that will provide you. And the community is also building all kinds of nice things. So these 2 are going to be pulled in. What I then need is that we actually... but this is... it's .NET 6, right? So we don't need this namespace here. With, you know me, right? Let's get the new bits in.
I like this better.
This is much better. Ridiculous, of course. What we want to do is we built it, and we pulled in the packages. Let's see if the packages are actually there. We want to inherit this this test class where these tests are in from page test, and there are some few other ones. But page test, you see, well, I found the unit. You have a certain amount of ways to step into the test project. Like I want a browser, I want a page. Those levels of objects are there. Page test is kind of default. Like you can start adding some lines in there to get started to navigate to something, because that's exactly what we want now. So we have a page test. This is our first real test. Just leave the setup in there, assert pass. And then he's like, oh, well, what are we going to do? So I also told you it's async. So first thing what we want to do is make this thing async. Pulling tasks, so we can start throwing some weights. Well, I'm pasting it for speed. In this case, let's enlarge it also a bit. So page, this.page is available, and it has a lot of nice things. It has the locators, go to, navigate, all the things are built from there. Yeah. And because we inherited page test and we just go to a page, we can assume the browser's being spin up, we have a tab in there, and on that thing we navigate. So that's a really nice starting point for a test like this.
That is already, I think, more intuitive than using Selenium, where you actually have to create that driver yourself.
Well, yeah, and of course there's some wrapper packages and stuff, but like this is out of the box. It's brand new. This is the way to go. Everything has the same convention to build these things. So what we have now, so we have go to a page, so it pops up browser, goes to a page and says it's fine. I'm going to add another link there. And you need to really go to the API to see what is possible, because you have another go to here, await as a next step, do this. You can do nesting with all async.
Does it look a bit fluent?
You can do some fluent commands, because sometimes you really only once this is loaded, I can locate this thing. I want to click this button and do that. Like that's the complicated part of actually this, which we're completely gonna skip, of course, because we're doing a technical demo from the framework.
But it's an overview.
It's an overview.
For the details, go to the documentation.
Definitely.
But this gives you a general feel of how complex or easy it is to actually get started with Playwright.
Yeah, and what is necessary to add here, because we need to just check out on console, because I'm gonna open a terminal here. It should be fine, right? So this is our test project. What we do need to know is, like, the Playwright stuff needs a browser, and the Playwright stuff is not gonna target your own browser, your default browser or anything, or your installed browser.
It brings in a headless browser?
It brings in headless browsers, or even with a head, so you can actually look at what it's doing. But by putting in these packages, I also brought in some installer scripts to actually run this, because this solution needs something. And I got the, I built it the first time, right? Yeah, I built it. So what I need to do is now go, this is PowerShell, right? Yeah, I copy pasted the command for you. What I actually want is in the directory, so in our build directory, there's now a PowerShell script brought in, and you need to kick that off with an install command. What it will do, it will pull down the browsers, if it's actually there, because apparently it's not.
So maybe you didn't build
NetX.
after adding the packages?
It said NetX. Whoa, I did a mistake there. What does it say? Net6. What is there? There should be a Playwright thing in here. I'm tapping through the whole thing. You know how it works, right? It doesn't have it in there. So let's see what I'm doing wrong. You know how this works. So if you have, like, I'm just gonna put the command in there again. So you first need to have a backup solution. You install this thing, pulls in the browser, and it can actually run the tests in there. You were talking about headful, headless. I have a running one here. So by default, I can run this thing, and it will start popping up the browser. Does it work in the background or the foreground? You can set that on headless or non-headless mode. For locally, in a unit test, like you will see what it's doing now. It's going somewhere, closes it, fine. If you want to change that, you put an environment variable in, or something that acts like an environment variable. Could also be your run settings that says headed is 1 or headed is 0.
Okay. And
it will listen to that. That's the NUnit setup, because on command line from scratch you will actually program that normally. But now everything is magical. So that's that. You go there, you scroll to something, and it works. But what is the next step in this? We actually want to run this again and again and again, because it's a regression test, right?
Yeah, and it's an automated test, so we want to just kick it off and see what it does.
Indeed. So what I did for this is of course, you saw this, and I kind of prepared this time. So I actually have a build pipeline running with this test, and I'm going to walk through the YAML, because most of us, I think, use pipelines in Azure DevOps.
Or actions on GitHub.
Or action on GitHub, but in this case, because most of the companies I work with having actually a TA are using this, and it's kind of similar, so you will be able to do the translation. So if I go to this pipeline, I edit it. It shows a few things, and it looks a bit complicated, because if you go all the way to the bottom, it's doing what you expect. I'm going to zoom in a bit for you. So it's going to do a .NET space test, right? Yeah. That's the end execution that you want. You see, you can add the browser's params in there, which it's using. In this case, a nice test run title, so that you also know what this was. It doesn't just say test results. It's a bit complicated, but before this, there are a few steps in there, because what I was even struggling with the PowerShell script and actually installing the browsers. If you want to run this on what I have here, like just a VM. So not an installed agent. I see a lot of, and there are some advantages in an installed agent. You have to install the framework yourself, make sure the latest browsers are there. And what I actually want is, like, any new clean machine should be able to run this. Pull in the latest image of the browser, and then test with that, because that's also interesting. Maybe your application didn't break, but Chrome removed the feature.
That kind of happens.
That kind of happens sometimes. So in this case, I have a trigger just on main. Well, that is quite default. Ubuntu latest image, so latest everything. Then I need .NET 6, I said, because I made it .NET 6, so I just have to use .NET task. It's pretty default as well in our world. Then I need to do some magic steps. I want to install Playwright. But I then need a manifest, because I need to do a tool install in that environment that's brand new. So what I do is create a new manifest. In that, I'm installing the .NET tool Playwright, because I don't have a .NET install global option here.
Not yet, probably, or
Well, like global is fine, but like next run we have a new machine, so
then it's gone again. True, true.
It's just build out, and we can simplify these steps, of course, if we want to. But know that we need that library somewhere in the background. Then I'm actually gonna the test project I'm actually running. I'm gonna build it first, so it will create the bin directory, and in that is, for instance, the installer. In this case, it's Linux, so it's not the PowerShell. But there are multiple scripts in there.
It could be PowerShell core.
It could be PowerShell core. I didn't check actually, but I think it's an SH script. And then we are executing the tool to actually do the install. So this tool is going to try to find the proper script for this environment and run it. So it will, in this step, will download the browsers actually. Yeah. And latest versions put in there so we can actually do the .NET run. So this is a lot of setup before this actually works.
You said you needed to do some magic, so this is the magic. Did you find what magic to do, or did you find out which magic to do?
Well, I found on certain parts and certain blogs part of this magic. Okay. And even then, it didn't work the first time. What I found out and even struggled with after having it run all the time, with making this demo, this didn't work. This last step, this install step, didn't work. This needs to be run in a directory which has a solution that has a test project, or with a test project in there. And I was one directory up. Yeah, because I was making a new demo.
It doesn't work.
And it didn't have an SLN file. So that was the difference between my previous project and it cost me half an hour to figure out what it was, because it just said cannot find test projects, which I was fairly certain of they were there. You can put a command in there like -s for like here's the source for that thing. But those are the need to know things. Yeah. So if this runs, I can make it run. We won't see any browser in this case, right? Oh, I'm not going to commit. This is I did some changes again. We won't see a browser in this test because it's running remotely on a brand new Linux container somewhere, but we can look at the progress. So it's going to do all these steps. We're going to see in our logging that it will pull in browsers and install scripts and run something. Is it fast? We'll go to...
yeah, but while we're waiting on this, I think one of the things that other frameworks have is that you have the possibility when you run into a hiccup or something doesn't work, that you can pull in a screenshot from the browser instance. Do you happen to know if it supports that?
I do happen to know if it supports that. It has awesome options to also resize your browser and all kinds of things. Okay. But it was actually kind of a surprise in this build run. But in the code of this Playwright demo that we're running right here, and I'm on purpose going here because I actually shared this on bedwithnl /Playwright demo. All the code is here to do this, including the YAML example.
Cool.
If you look at this code, it looks fairly similar to the one I was making. You see two things. You can do, because you're based on the page test, you can do an override on some steps that are being created. And one of them is context options. In there, you have kind of a hook to change some settings for this test run. And what I can do, for instance, is set the options record video dir to /videos.
Even video?
Videos. Yeah. I had a solution somewhere where I was stitching screenshots, but videos. We can also do awesome screenshots on errors or something. And then in the teardown, just for the sake, I check if it's there. But if it's there, I'm doing add test attachment, and I'm actually getting this page video, get the path, pull those videos out.
Actually added as an attachment to the test results.
And if we talk long enough, we should be able to
see all checks are green.
All checks are green. We should be able here to look at the tests, and they're all green. So this thing is never expanded on default. Like when you have a success, you won't see it. Yeah. I feel a bit
well,
sad.
you got the
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. So we have this test. It's named test 1. So that's also not. Don't do this at home.
It's a demo. You can get away with it.
And then you look at if you click through on it, the attachment should have a video. It's like, what did it do? And here's a download button, and it will create a video and a download, and it's actually showing exactly what it did.
This is so much easier and better than
I think
tools I've used to work with in the past.
we have some pipeline, and I think we have 6 lines of code. So this is it. No, this is not it. I wanted to mention one more thing, but that would be going
That's
into
another
details.
show. One
Is
more
that?
thing.
Yeah, that's another show. That you remember that PowerShell script, right? There was a Playwright and Dash install, but there's much more power in there because there's also a Dash recorder. Shall we do that in another one?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay, cool.
I think that's a good one. Well, thanks for this awesome demo. I'm going to look into Playwright for sure. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.
See you next time.
Bye.